Fair warning, don't move to Utah unless you can handle the 7 realities that I'm about to lay out. Moving to Utah will either be one of the best decisions you've ever made or a life decision you'll quickly regret. Now, I've lived all across the country, from growing up in the Pacific Northwest to going to college in Southern California, and then I was stationed across the East Coast during my time in the military, so I'll tell you the best and worst parts of living in Utah. I'm 𝐋𝐿'𝐒 with the Salt Lake City Relocation Guide, and I help people relocate to Salt Lake City across the Wasatch Front every week. So I've heard firsthand the major concerns most people have when they first move here. By the end of this video, you'll know the real living in Utah pros and cons, what the Utah real estate market actually feels like on the ground, and how to choose a neighborhood that fits your lifestyle. But before we dive in, drop a quick comment below with the biggest question you have about living in Utah. I read and respond to all the comments. Number 1, culture and community. The LDS influence, what it actually means. For those maybe unfamiliar, the LDS Church is short for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, oftentimes referred to as the Mormon Church. Now, this is a topic everyone dances around. Utah has a strong LDS history, and in many suburbs, church life shapes social calendars, youth activities, volunteer projects, and how neighbors show up for one another. So if you're not necessarily LDS or you practice a different faith or maybe none at all, how will that impact your daily life? Here's a few considerations you should think about. Neighborhoods can often feel hyper-local. Downtown Salt Lake City versus the avenues versus Sugar House versus Park City can all feel completely different, whereas certain suburbs can be more uniform in their overall belief systems. Now, kids' social circle, specifically, a lot of youth activities run through church groups. If you're not involved in the LDS Church, you'll probably want to find parallel outlets, whether it's recreational sports, music, martial arts, mountain biking, or other outlets that allow you to meet more people. Sundays run differently, and this is something that actually really annoys me. It's bad enough that Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays, but in Salt Lake City, a lot of businesses are closed. Family time is definitely emphasized, and the pace of life overall tends to slow down. You can expect kind, service-oriented people regardless of your individual religious beliefs, meaning neighbors show up for one another with meals when they've got a newborn, maybe organizing a yard cleanup for someone who's sick. It's a very pitch-in culture where people want to help each other. My recommendation on how to thrive: be proactive and get involved. Whether it's joining a running group, maybe a ski meetup, a cycling club, a pickleball league, whatever's your thing, if your priority is blended, eclectic environment, you'll lean more towards areas like Sugar House, maybe the 9th and 9th District, Central City, or certain pockets of Mill Creek. Whereas if you want the classic cul-de-sac with tons of kids, organized activities, there's some amazing options across places like South Jordan, particularly Daybreak, Harriman, Lehigh, Farmington, and Bountiful. Number 2, air quality and inversion, and also late summer wildfire smoke. The mountains that make the Wasatch gorgeous also create inversion in winter, essentially trapping pollution near the valley floor. Late summer can also bring wildfire smoke. Now, it's not every day, but when it does hit, you'll definitely notice. The closer to the center of the valley you live, the more you'll potentially be affected. Now, here's your playbook when selecting a location. You want to pick your elevation and orientation wisely. East Bench neighborhoods like Olympus Cove, Cottonwood Heights, parts of Draper, and the Bountiful Hills can get better airflow. Park City and Heber Valley often have cleaner days, though you'll trade for more winter driving and different price point. You can also upgrade indoor air quality. So quality HVAC filters and a couple of HEPA purifiers make a real difference, and a lot of my clients go that route. Now, last is the lifestyle tweaks. On days when the inversion is particularly bad, you can always hit a gym session indoors instead, or maybe head up the canyon for a hike at a higher elevation above the inversion layer. And if Salt Lake City air quality is a big concern for you, we'll align neighborhoods and home features accordingly. Next, let's talk about the liquor laws. Yes, Utah liquor laws are unique. There are some specific state liquor stores for spirits and wine, basically anything over 5% alcohol volume, meaning you're only going to find things like beer in local grocery stores. It's also highly annoying that liquor stores are closed on Sundays, but maybe that's just me. Practically speaking, you just need to plan ahead. So here's how it looks in real life. Date night is alive and well. There's plenty of restaurants and breweries around 7 days a week, so you don't have to necessarily rely on just grocery store beer. Now, many people will stock up on hard liquor when they visit the liquor store, instead of having to make multiple trips. Quick side note, if you are a veteran with base access, the liquor store on Hill Air Force Base has some awesome discounts. Next, let's talk about the housing realities, specifically prices, HOAs, and lot sizes. This is a big concern that a lot of buyers reach out and talk to me about. So if you're comparing the Utah cost of living to where you're currently coming from, the housing will be a big swing factor. Now, the Utah real estate market had a strong run up during COVID and has since softened a little bit, but prices are still expensive. Here are the key realities. Prices and competition vary by pocket and specific location. In areas where home prices are more affordable, we often see more buyer competition, as there's more consumers looking, say, in the $400,000 price range versus the $700,000 price range. This is why it's critical to work with a solid realtor, someone who could really help you navigate and still help you find a good deal. When it comes to HOAs and amenities, the newer master plan communities often include trails, pools, gyms, and clubhouses. You trade some freedom, fencing, parking, landscaping rules, for amenities and neighborhood events. And of course, this also comes at a higher monthly cost. HOA fees are certainly something to consider in your overall budget along with your mortgage payment. And we typically see HOA fees in like the $100 to $200 a month range, but of course this varies by community. Lot size is kind of interesting. Newer communities tend to be smaller, which makes sense because builders are trying to maximize their profit by building more homes per acre. Now, if lot size is important to you, you want to look to the established areas on the east side of the valley, places like Mill Creek, Holladay, Sandy, Draper, or the southwest corner of the valley like Harriman, where there's more land available to build larger lots. So when you reach out to me, here's how I can help. I typically start by mapping out your budget and your lifestyle. This includes commute time to work, certain school districts, your HOA tolerance, your yard needs, and favorite hobbies, whether it's skiing, mountain biking, golf. Then we target the best suburbs in Salt Lake City for you instead of just a generic list. Number 5 on this list is the water, landscaping, and the overall status of the Great Salt Lake. Welcome to the high desert. Utah is not immune to water restrictions like you see in California and Arizona. You'll hear about drought, secondary water metering, and the Great Salt Lake. It's becoming part of the overall Utah conversation. And when it comes to homeownership, there's a couple key considerations. Things like landscaping expectations, xeriscape, planting native plants, drip systems, and smart controllers to control how much water you're using. Of course, most people still have traditional grass lawns, but there are easy ways to cut your water bill if needed. Some cities and HOAs support landscaping designs that tend to use less water, and some cities even incentivize homeowners accordingly. All in all, it's my opinion that Utah's government has a better grasp on water conservation than most states. Now, what is a concern for all of us living here in Utah is the Great Salt Lake. You'll see efforts around conservation and dust mitigation. This will be an ongoing topic in Utah for many years. And to clarify exactly what I mean, if the Great Salt Lake water levels recede too far, it can lead to super dangerous levels of arsenic that could potentially impact the rest of the valley. It's one of those doomsday scenarios that's unlikely to occur, but if it does, we're basically all screwed. It's no different than a massive earthquake taking out all of Los Angeles. All right, number 6 on this list, the Utah outdoor recreation lifestyle is the real magnet. We have world-class skiing, mountain biking, climbing, trail running, and 5 national parks in the state. But with that popularity comes logistical issues. Here's what the locals would tell you. And by the way, if you already live here in Utah, let me know in the comments if you disagree. The canyon traffic in both Big and Little Cottonwood Canyon is an issue. In fact, it seems to be getting worse. Days when we have lots of snow in the winter leads to massive traffic congestion where it can take hours to get to the ski resorts. So if you don't leave early enough in the morning, it can be a major issue. People from all over the world visit Utah in the winter to ski, so imagine thousands of extra people beyond just the local traffic. It's probably equivalent to people who live in like Maui getting super annoyed when there's a bunch of tourists wanting to surf all at the same time. When it comes to parking and permits, there are some trailheads in national park areas that use reservations in peak seasons. So don't just wing it, do some research before you make the trip. And a fun fact, if you're a disabled veteran, you can also get some of these fees waived. Here's a good rule of thumb is to live near your hobbies. It's the reason why skiers love to live near Cottonwood Heights, Sandy, and Park City because your commute to the mountains is less. Mountain bikers enjoy living near Draper, Eagle Mountain, or North Ogden. Runners and hikers do well near foothill trail systems across the valley. If you're moving to Utah for the outdoors, we will prioritize neighborhoods that make it easier for you to get out the door. All right, number 7 and last on this list. A big consideration is geography, commute time, and your daily routines. The Wasatch Front is long and narrow, meaning you have mountains to the east and to the west, so commuting direction actually matters in Salt Lake City. This is where people either fall in love with Utah or they feel like they're stuck in traffic all the time. This might sound weird, but there is a big difference if you're commuting north and south versus east and west. I-15 is the only major freeway system in the valley that basically runs north and south. Yes, there are plans of extending roads like Mountain View Corridor, but if your commute happens to be east and west, you're going to run into more intersections and stop signs. Now, if you live in the Silicon Slopes, areas which are basically like Lehigh, Draper, Bluffdale, and Saratoga Springs, you'll also run into heavy traffic in the off-ramps off of I-15. Some public transit exits do exist, but it's not as established as other major cities. The Tracks and FrontRunner system help specific routes, but it won't necessarily solve all of the traffic problems. So if saving time is the goal, we'll map out your office, daycare, gym, favorite grocery stores, and so forth, and then basically reverse engineer where your home search should be narrowed down to. Now let's not forget, Utah is a higher elevation climate, so it does take the body a little bit of time to acclimate. And you'll also end up drinking more water, using more sunscreen, but in my opinion, these are kind of minor issues. Utah is also a true 4-season environment, and winter has its nuances. So the adjustment most people feel isn't just that it snows here, but it's the ice on the streets, the temperature swings, and the driving conditions. The bottom line here is you want to pick the best neighborhoods in Salt Lake City for your commute, your weekends, not just the house that looks cool online. Now, based on the conversations with other people who have already moved to Salt Lake City, here's sort of a how to decide if Utah's a good fit for you. You want to make a short list of 2 to 3 neighborhoods that match your social vibe, your commute time to work, and your weekend hobbies. Then you want to time your visit so that you can experience 1 weekday of rush hour traffic, 1 weekend morning, and 1 evening out to give you a holistic approach to what it's like to live in Salt Lake City. You also want to tour homes in your budget, and preferably you want to look at homes back to back. That really helps my buyers compare and contrast what to expect in your price range. During your visit, you also want to eat where you would normally eat, check out the local gyms, do a grocery store run as if you lived here in real life, not just for vacation. And my promise to you is I'll give you the unfiltered version so you can choose where you want to live with confidence. I work with families, single people, retirees, remote workers, people relocating to Utah for employment purposes, or just want to escape their current living environment. If you want help planning your move to Utah, reach out to me and I'll help guide you through the process. Give me a call or shoot me a text at the number that you see below to get started. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get the latest information about what's happening here in Salt Lake City. I'll see you in the next video.